Marine Corps Reserve truck here that I'm sitting in. It's been bringing stuff down here to the backyard of Channel 16 all day long. They brought down the stands and the picnic table and enough food to feed an army or Orson Welles, whichever comes first. So I tell you what, you make plans to be here Labor Day, Miss Judy's backyard at Channel 16. Free parking at the Cumberford. Bring your aluminum cans too. You can leave them at the Cumberford or here at Channel 16. You have a super night, and tomorrow I hope you meet me at the $16,000 movie. Head out. Have a nice night. I'm on a big truck.
Tonight in the news, regrettable, inexcusable, a stupid act. Reaction to the Soviet shoot-down of a passenger jet.
We'll talk to people in our area about that crash and show you from Skycam 16 how a jet can drift into danger. I'm Karen Harch.
And I'm Nolan Johannes. Those stories and much more next on Newswatch 16.
Stay up on Labor Day weekend for the MD Telethon.
This is the news station, WNEP 16.
Good evening, I'm Nolan Johannes.
And I'm Karen Harch. People in northeastern and central Pennsylvania are reacting tonight to a tragic event halfway around the world.
And the U.S. government is considering ways to retaliate against the Soviet Union. It's all because of the attack on a Korean Airlines jumbo jet with 269 passengers aboard. It happened last night when the plane, which had taken off from New York and Anchorage, Alaska, was over Russian air territory while on its way to Japan and Korea. The State Department now says some wreckage has been spotted in the area where the plane is believed to have plunged into the sea. At least 30 Americans are believed to have been on board that jet, including a U.S. congressman. Russia has said a plane twice entered its airspace and did not respond to Soviet planes intercepting it. Late tonight, they still do not say that they shot that plane down.
Well, Nolan, the route taken by Korean Flight 7 is a dangerous one. It's dangerously close to Russian airspace. Newswatch 16's Mark Davis talked to a Lackawanna County pilot today who flew that same route for 8 years. The pilot says he's not surprised by what happened because he never trusted the Russians when he was there.
Anything.
68-year-old Bill Siemens of Benton Township, Lackawanna County, knows the route taken by Korean Airlines Flight 007 very well. For 8 years, Bill flew DC-8s like this one from New York City to Bangkok, Thailand for a commercial air freight service, using the same route as Flight 007. Siemens says on that route it's very easy to drift into Soviet airspace and get into trouble.
Here are your Russian islands all down through here, and here's your route right through here. Right in.
All right, now between the route and the Russian airspace indicated by the dotted line, how much space are we talking about here?
Well, in here you're talking about maybe 75 miles, and 75 miles at 600 miles an hour is not very long.
Bill Siemens says he never had a problem in the years he flew the route, but usually if there is a problem, Soviet action isn't so severe.
They would come up and intercept and escort you into a landing field. And then you'd be interrogated and everything, and probably like a Cuban hijacking.
Veteran pilot Bill Siemens says he's not really all that surprised by what has happened, because when he flew the similar route near the Russian airspace, he learned a long time ago never to trust the Russian pilots. And now, in light of what has happened, there's going to be a lot more people who will share that distrust. Mark Davis, Newswatch 16, Benton Township, Lackawanna County.
Just how could an experienced pilot drift off course and into dangerous territory? Skycam 16 pilot Jack Ruland is now flying over the Wyoming Valley with a live explanation. Jack?
Nolan, it's very easy to get off course, especially if you have a wind blowing and you're not aware of it. If you are going from, say, Williamsport to Wilkes-Barre, it's only a distance of 70 miles. But during that time, if you don't have visual reference with the ground, it would be very easy to drift at least 10 miles off course in that time. So you really have to keep track of where you're going. Also, a small error in putting your information into your navigational computer could also create an error that would give you that kind of error. So I can see how it could very easily happen. This is Jack Ruland live with a Skycam report over Lackawanna County. Karen?
Jack, we understand that it's also possible that there was some communications problems up in the air. Would that have anything to do with it?
Well, I'm sure that it could very well have a problem, or that could create a problem, because if the Russians were trying to get in touch with them and they didn't respond, I can see how the lack of communications could present a real serious problem at that point.
Okay, thank you, Jack. One of the passengers on board the Korean flight that was shot down by the Soviets was Democratic Congressman Larry McDonald from Georgia. Other members of Congress are outraged tonight by the Soviet action. We caught up with two of them today. Congressman Frank Harrison of the 11th District in Pennsylvania and Congressman Claude Pepper from Florida. They were speaking with senior citizens in downtown Wilkes-Barre. Newswatch 16 got these very strong reactions from both congressmen.
Right after their...
This is an act of murder, and that the people responsible for it, from the man who pushed the button through every officer in the chain of command who knew about it, are punished either by the courts of their own nation or an international tribunal.
It's a dastardly, despicable deed, characteristic of so much of the inhuman attitude of the Russian government. We, in the strongest way, must demand retribution from those people. The government couldn't have done it accidentally.
Those two congressmen have obvious reason to be concerned tonight, but they're not the only people shaken up by the downing of the Korean jet. Newswatch 16 took to the streets of Stroudsburg today to get reaction from that part of Monroe County.
I think it's going to be trouble, especially if if they find out it was all planned and everything, that our congressman was on there. And I wouldn't blame the U.S. if they started a problem with them either.
Shouldn't be let go by just by the wayside. They can't keep pushing us around. They can only push us so far, I think.
My reaction is that I think it's a dirty shame that we have to put up with this kind of stuff from them. I really do. But I'm not ready to go to war over it.
I have chills just up and down my spine when you talk about this kind of thing. It scares me to death that this can happen today. Now, when can it happen to somebody else tomorrow?
It's the uncertainty of the future that had some businessmen in the Wyoming Valley talking. Newswatch 16's Kathi Belich reports now from Scranton.
There was shock, fear, and uncertainty in the talk over the lunch table in this popular Scranton deli today after the news came that the Soviets had shot down that Korean plane carrying American passengers.
It affects us all because it reflects on free people getting attacked.
Scranton exporter Ernie Papa says it scares him. He thinks it will lead to U.S. military buildup in and around Korea and in other hot spots.
Beyond that, I can't speculate because these are the types of incidents that evolve into increasingly more severe incidents and have a tendency to escalate.
But others feel that until we know all the facts, any reaction would be overreaction.
Why should the State Department start moving troops to borders? I mean, it's not an act of military aggression. I mean, it's an aggressive act, sure, and it could have been a complete mistake. I find it hard to believe that any civilized nation would shoot down a civilian airliner, even if it was in their airspace.
A lot of people here in Scranton spent their lunch hours discussing the downing of the Korean airliner and how it could affect their lives. Most people were extremely concerned about the possible ramifications of the attack, yet most feel that this one incident is not enough to send us to war with the Soviet Union. Kathi Belich, Newswatch 16, Scranton.
There have been a lot of questions about today's tragic incident overseas. Sheila Carapico, a professor of international relations at Wilkes College in Wilkes-Barre, is live now in our Wilkes-Barre newsroom. Ms. Carapico, what will this do to the already strained relations between the U.S. and the Soviets?
Well, I think that there's an opportunity, you know, for either side to take advantage of this to show a belligerent posture if they choose to do so. And I think very much depends right now on the way that the American public and the American government respond, whether they challenge the Soviets to a kind of a showdown or a confrontation, or whether they wait and see whether there may be an explanation forthcoming or something which might border on an apology, perhaps.
Ms. Carapico, does this attack today mean that there could be a possibility of war with Russia?
Well, I think that this attack in and of itself does not mean that there would be a possibility of war between the United States and Russia. If this was an aggressive act, it was an act of aggression towards the South Koreans and not actually towards the United States. So our responsibility would be to come to the assistance of the Korean government, and it may be, you know, if you recall the Korean Missile Crisis, for example, there is a stage of escalation in which each side takes a slightly more hostile perspective, and the tension begins to build rather slowly, step by step. But I think that there is no time at which a single incident of this sort could be the cause, really, of a war, unless, as I say, it becomes one of a series of steps in an escalating tension and hostility.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Carapico.
Join up for the fight against muscular dystrophy.
The government has added a Lackawanna County dump to the list of the worst hazardous waste sites in the United States. Newswatch 16 was the first to tell you back in 1981 about a neighbor's concern over the Taylor Borough dump. The site is located off Kaiser Avenue at the end of Prince Street. Environmental officials say toxic wastes are buried there. Now, the Taylor dump is one of 133 sites made eligible today for government cleanup money. But officials say just because the dump is on the list for the money doesn't mean the cleanup will begin tomorrow. The government says a lot of paperwork has to be done before the bulldozers will roll in Taylor. Well, the last holiday weekend of the summer season, that's just ahead of us.
And Tom Clark will have the weather outlook.
Save your aluminum cans and bring them to the telethon!
Well, you know, the Labor Day weekend is just around the corner, and everyone here at Channel 16 is getting ready for our telethon, which will be broadcast on Sunday and Monday.
Right.
And Tom Clark is getting ready to give us a good forecast, I hope, Tom.
Karen, I sure will give you a great forecast heading into the weekend. As a matter of fact, tonight I dedicate my forecast to those who have not yet had their fill of hot, dry weather so far this summer, because indeed, it is on the way. And what a beautiful day it was today across Pennsylvania. A beautiful start for the month of September. As a matter of fact, today was so nice that our Skycam helicopter pilot, Jack Ruland, could not resist getting up in the air this afternoon. And let's check in with him right now. He is high over downtown Scranton at the moment. And there is the view. A spectacular haze-free view from about, I'd say that's about 1,000 feet over Scranton. And he's moving along, I'm sure, at about 100 knots. He's moving pretty fast, and there's the view there. Our temperature looks like this. In front of that live shot, 80 degrees now outside. We have a humidity of 40%. The wind is coming down from Canada at about 6 miles per hour. It's nice and dry, and the barometer is now holding steady at 30.03. Today's high was 81 in this backyard, and the low last night was 61 in that fog. Records for this date, 97, set back in 1932. Record low, 41. Now, on Newswatch 16's color satellite photograph, for some strange reason, the satellite did not transmit an image of the entire U.S. So I show you along the eastern seaboard a lot of clouds out over towards Bermuda. That in line with the cold front that came through here yesterday, left a third of an inch of rain in this backyard. But as you can see, lots of clear, dry air from Pennsylvania westward out across the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest. This air is headed in our direction. No chance of rain here until perhaps on Monday, Labor Day, from a cold front which is way out west over the Rockies. So let's take a look at our forecast for tonight as we have it. It will be clear outside tonight. Cool, comfortable, nice. 53 in Dalton up there in Lackawanna County, 53 in Henryville, that's over in Monroe County, 55 in Bloomsburg for the low tonight, 57 in Port Carbon, and about 54 in Williamsport. You'll sleep like a baby. Now tomorrow, a foggy start in many areas. Some of that fog could be quite dense, but plenty of soothing sunshine in the afternoon. Another comfortably warm afternoon on the way. 80 Montrose, 81 in Larksville, 81 in Stroudsburg, about 83 in Shamokin, and 82 in Jersey Shore. Now, our telethon weather watch for Monday, Labor Day. It looks hot. Readings near 90, but see that cold front coming down over the Great Lakes? That could bring a threat of thunder showers late in the day on Monday, depending on what the jet stream winds will be doing. We'll update that later tonight. Now, sunshine the next couple of days, 86 degrees on Saturday, and hot heading into Labor Day with afternoon temperatures near 90. Nolan, Karen, another beauty tomorrow.
I like that. It sounds as though September does not mean fall and coolness yet.
Summer continues.
Wait till winter. Thanks, Tom. Coming up, good news for steam train lovers.
Another steam engine coming when we return, right?
Right.
Okay.
Chad Booth.
And I'm Jane Adonisio. Chad and I are in beautiful downtown Williamsport on Monday night. On our show, we'll be finding out how to tap into psychic powers to project yourself to places you may have never seen.
Then we're going to take a look at a pool shark. This little pint-sized guy, he may be one of the nation's best.
Don't miss it. That's Monday night at 7 on WNEP TV 16.
A locomotive from the Steamtown USA Rail Museum was supposed to be chugging its way from Vermont to Scranton tonight, but now it looks like the old train won't be able to make the trip for at least a few more weeks. Officials say tracks between here and there have to be tested first. Meantime, Conrail has agreed to allow the city of Scranton to lease the old railroad yards behind the Erie-Lackawanna train station in Scranton. The yards will be used to hold trains from Steamtown when the Locomotive Museum finally does move from Vermont to Scranton.
Sounds like things are getting right on track, right? And on track in the world of sports, Mr. Joe Zone, what's happening tonight, Joe?
I don't know. I'm waiting for my cameraman to get ready.
He's there.
Just 2 teams left as we count down the Super 16 tonight. Ranked number 2 out of the Wyoming Valley Conference, the Coughlin Crusaders.
That's probably the only thing I haven't done in the conference or in my life as a high school football coach, and I want it.
It is the Eastern Conference Championship. Meck and the Crusaders have been finalists 3 times in 5 years, but they've never won it. Again this year. He's got the people to get there. His biggest problem might be trying to find a starting quarterback from 3 who could start with most any other team in the conference. Whoever gets the job, Paul Patera, who's the front runner right now, Tom Wright, or Joe Olszewski, he'll have some impressive skill people to work with.
Rich Menendez is the fastest kid I've ever coached in my 14 years, and he's a wing back. He's going to get the ball pass-wise and run-wise, and George Cole can break at any time, and fullback Ann Sweeney can bust it up the middle. He's a bull.
Mark Ann Sweeney, who also plays linebacker, is a tough 6'2", 205-pounder and one of the top college prospects in the area. A member of Coughlin's 2 straight Wyoming Valley Conference championships, and Sweeney thinks this year's team has only one question mark.
We're at the line a little bit because we have a little bit of injuries so far for the first week. But after everybody gets healthy, we'll be all right.
With their speed and size, experience and skill people, the Crusaders have every reason to repeat as conference champions. But even that lofty achievement won't satisfy this group. There's that elusive Eastern Conference championship to be had. And J.P. Meck knows that sooner or later, the bridesmaid finally gets to the altar. For 2 weeks, we have been counting down the best high school football teams in the area. Tonight, on the eve of the high school football season, we leave you with our number 1 team. Who else? Berwick.
We are not untouchable. We are not, the Pittsburgh Steelers or somebody like that. We're a bunch of high school kids that are working hard, trying to get our 3rd championship in a row. That's it.
Some people think they're a lot more. Like USA Today, which rated the Bulldogs the 8th best team in the whole country. They may not be that good, but they do have every indication of being the best darn football team in this part of the world. They returned from last year's 11-0 team 25 lettermen, most of them on offense, where the Bulldogs are simply explosive.
We've moved the ball well on everyone, and we got good balance, more balance than we've had last year. We got a veteran line, but I got a secret weapon that no one knows about, and they're going to hear about Andy Mills, our fullback. This kid has been awesome in the 2 scrimmages, and if he stays healthy, they're going to know who he is by the time the year's over.
Senior quarterback Joe Orlando, who threw for 18 touchdowns and 1,200 yards last season, knew he'd have a lot of weapons available this year, and so he came to camp prepared.
This year I came out, prepared to throw a little bit more. I worked a lot over the summer, and I think our running game is going to be opened up.
Curry's only concern is on defense, where he's had to replace 7 of last year's starters. But he has the people to fill those holes. The only question is, how long will the transition take? The Bulldogs won't have much time to find out. They open up against a powerful Harrisburg team and then go right into the meat of the tough Southern Conference. With 2 straight 11-0 seasons and a unique national ranking, the Bulldogs are the team everyone will be out to knock off. But it'll take more than motivation to bring down these Bulldogs. If they can keep their heads about them, there's no telling just how good they may eventually become.
And Newswatch 16 continues next with a love story.
We'll go to the zoo of all places when we come back.
Food, fun, games, and entertainment galore at St. Martha's Festival on the parish grounds in Fairmount Springs. It all takes place Saturday and Sunday, September 3rd and 4th. There is music for dancing starting Saturday evening and continuing through Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. And the food is delicious. In addition to the usual picnic fare, there's chicken and ham dinner Sunday afternoon from noon till 6 p.m. It's all at St. Martha's Festival in Fairmount Springs, Saturday and Sunday, September 3rd and 4th.
Finally tonight, the pressure isn't too unbearable for the two cuddly creatures at Scranton's Nay Aug Zoo. We told you yesterday that matchmaker George, the zookeeper, is trying to breed the bears so the zoo can have some baby bears. Well, Candy and her unnamed friends still haven't been able to bear it all with each other, but we're told they are compatible, and once in a while they give each other a bear hug. They're probably the old-fashioned types and want to court a bit before their relationship reaches the more serious level. A little young, too, maybe, for
I think
serious
just a little
relationship.
bit, yeah, but we'll keep watching anyway, right?
Yeah, we'll keep tabs on it. And that's Newswatch 16 for this Thursday.
ABC is next with more on that 747 jumbo passenger jet from South Korea that went down because a Russian plane shot it down. More on that coming up next on ABC.
Enjoy your evening.